Good morning, Eastern Oregon. We're glad that you're here with us on this June the 1st, Tuesday. That's crazy.
Tuesday that feels like a Monday.
See, I told you that. If we took off Mondays, Tuesdays would start feeling like Mondays.
Yeah, but we worked yesterday.
Yeah.
Still feels like Tuesday. We didn't work a long time, but
yeah. Well, thanks everyone for jumping on here to EOAlive, your connection to Eastern Oregon. How was your weekend, man, other than yesterday? I saw you yesterday.
Yesterday was excellent. Yesterday was fun. Other than that, I just took some relax. I got a golf tournament on Friday. I probably should have went and hit some balls. I've only golfed 2 times this year.
Wow.
That's not good.
Yeah. Well,
I haven't had like a high level of energy.
That's 2 times more than I have.
We got to get you golfing, BC.
Yeah, well, take me out sometime.
It's an old dude sport. You'd enjoy it.
That's right. Well, I had a good weekend. My family was here.
Oh yeah, you had your birthday party on Saturday.
We did a birthday thing, yeah, and so that was fun. Yep. The big 6-0, which I'm still adapting to.
Yeah.
I'm in denial. Absolutely.
It's not even a thought in my head yet.
What?
It's 60.
I know it shouldn't be.
But did it come fast?
Until it's forced on you. Yeah. It did.
Well,
yeah.
I bet you it did. My glasses are glary today. I'm taking them off.
Yeah, but hey, it's beautiful out there. Look at this weather, man.
It's nice and warm too. I walked today.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be warm. So, hey, your microphone sounds. Is the right microphone chose?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll check real fast.
No,
you go ahead and start the.
No, just tap on your mic. I think it. Yeah, no, it's the right one. It just sounds good.
Tap. Anybody there? Wake up.
No, it looks good. But here, let's look at Gabe's weather.
Ooh, what's that? A high of 88 today? Whoa.
Yeah.
We're getting sun in the afternoon too.
Yeah, and
I can dig it.
It's going to be warm. So if you were going to go golfing today, it'd be a good day, right?
Yeah, air conditioners probably need to go in soon too.
Yeah. And then this is tomorrow. Wow, even warmer.
Oh my good. Is that real?
Yeah.
95?
95 tomorrow, so it'll be warm.
Oof. It's going to be hot.
Yeah.
Record temps. Look at that. He's predicting record temps tomorrow. 95. See that?
This is
3 o'clock. 95. It would be a record for tomorrow.
Wow.
June 2nd.
Huh. Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, the weather's been just, it was just a week ago. It was cold and ugly and
it's been Eastern Oregon type.
A little abnormal. Weather. Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, let's bring Kevin on and he can just jaw with us. Yeah.
We can talk about
stuff. Hey man, how are you?
I am great. Good morning.
Good morning. We're glad that you're here with us. How was your weekend? What'd you do?
We went to Imnaha with the whole family on a family bear hunt.
Oh my.
A bear hunt?
We did, yes.
Do you ever worry like maybe the bear might hunt you?
Oh yes. Yes, that's why we have weapons.
Yeah, I went on a bear hunt one time, but it was with dogs in northern Idaho, and that's not really hunting. I mean, they just tree the bear, and you get out the truck and you shoot the bear, and they tie the dogs back. The bear gets on the ground. Once it's dead, they let the dogs bite it a couple times, and then they pull the dogs off, and it's over.
Yeah, this is a different kind. In the springtime, it's a lot easier. They're out on the open hillsides, kind of feeding, rolling rocks, and we're just there trying to find one. All the girls in our family drew tags, both daughter-in-laws and my fiance. I feel good saying that.
So were you just scouting or did anybody shoot something?
We did get one. Yes.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
How do you hunt a bear this time of year?
Mostly just pulling up on ridges and glassing for them. Just
So
using
from a
your-
long ways away.
Yes, using your binoculars.
And then you sneak up on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
How far was it away when you guys shot it?
This one wasn't too far. It was maybe 250, 300 yards.
What kind of gun do they use?
She was using, I believe, a 300.
A 300?
300 Remington Magnum, I believe.
Nice. I play this game called Hunter with my son, and it's an Xbox game, and it's pretty realistic, and that's my favorite gun in that game, the 300 Magnum.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
hunting.
a good time. Good time down there. There was 8 of us down there and riding four-wheelers and just enjoying Memorial Day.
Do you turn all the meat into sausage, or do you like save the roasts?
The majority of it does get turned into sausage. At least that's what we do.
Yeah, I didn't like bear much until I went to northern Idaho, and the guy who raised the tick hounds, the guide, his wife made this he pulled bear sandwiches, and they were absolutely excellent.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I had never had bear that I really liked before.
I don't think I've ever had bear. What does it taste like, Kevin?
It's a little bit greasy.
Okay.
And it does have a little bit of a kind of a wild taste, but it has a sweet taste. And it's actually really good if it's done right, but most of the time it's not done right because you're getting it and it's really hot outside, and you just got to shoot it, take care of it, get it cooled down. And but when it's this hot, a lot of the times it's the meat isn't as good. And so we normally just make it all into sausage.
That's what most people do.
Yeah.
So were you able to get your four-wheeler to where the bear was, or did you have to drag it a ways?
We went up and just took care of it. It was maybe a 15-minute hike up to it, to where the bear was. And then we go up there and we field dress it all out. And then everybody packed a portion of the bear off the mountain. So the whole family chipped in. Everybody was packing something.
That's cool.
except for the 4-year-old. The 4-year-old grandson, he didn't have to pack anything.
And that's like a yearly tradition?
We just started doing this spring bear hunt down there.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I've hunted big game a little bit back in the days. We used to put in for pronghorn tag every year over in that unit in Durkee, because my best friend's family owns land in Durkee. So we pheasant hunted there and coyote hunt there. And I just kind of gave up on big game. I like predator hunting and bird hunting better.
Sure. Yeah, it's a lot more action that way.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier on your body when you're fat and you have bad joints. Like it's hunting hillsides and rough terrain is not good for bad joints and overweight.
No, it's tough. Where she got this, it was pretty steep, but it wasn't too bad to get to.
Right. Good. Cool.
That Emnaha area is like rugged. I mean, there's nothing like it I've been to a lot of places, grew up in Wyoming, and that it is just an endless barrage of valleys, deep gullies, valleys. Yeah. So it's just, that's a beautiful
goes
area.
On forever. A lot of rattlesnakes down there.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
It's beautiful. It's definitely beautiful. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Well,
I want to ask Kevin a question about his job, because I forgot to ask him this last time. What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen in your job? Like the weirdest thing you've ever seen. You don't got to say no names or when it happened, but what's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen?
Well, I don't know. I think we did talk about this, and I don't know if I could answer it.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't see anything weird?
Well, there's some things that we see that I just can't talk about. And
of course.
It would probably be one of those instances that's coming to my mind. But
all right, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened? Have you ever heard any noises, or has anybody moved? Like how they have those stories where woman dies of COVID and wakes up in the morning. You know,
Right. Well, I can tell you. So our building was built in 1922, and it was built by the Snodgrass and Zimmerman family, and I lived there for several years, which most funeral directors you do live there, and trying to save money and just running the business. And I have never, and I am so glad that I've never had a scary situation in that building, because once it were to happen, it would probably freak me out forever. And I've never heard any voices. I've never seen any ghosts. I've never seen anything like that. And maybe it's because I'm not the type of person that sees that, or it might just mean that there's none in our building. But I've seriously, I've never had a weird instance, other than there was one time where I was putting makeup on a gal, and her hand moved and it swung down and hit me in the leg, and I can tell you that did make me jump. That did make me jump.
You think a little bit?
Yes. Yeah. I was in a hurry.
Like,
and
was it electrical impulse, or was it like just gravity? It just fell off.
We place people's hands kind of like over their belly button, and their hands naturally don't want to stay there. And so the slightest bump or just any kind of movement of the skin, and that handle will move. And so we don't put them there that often anymore, because
I would super glue them in place so they didn't bump me again.
Right. So that one did get me. That one scared me. And then back in the day when you're an apprentice, you always get jokes played on you, and there would be that, my boss would hide under a sheet. And then he would sit up. And so that goes on a little bit when you're new in the business, and just as kind of joking around.
Couldn't do it. No way.
Well, I got to thinking, tell us a story. You told me a story once about where you were out in the middle of nowhere and you locked yourself out of your vehicle, and your coat was caught in the car. I don't know. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, because tell us about that, because that was an interesting story.
So I was headed out coyote hunting several years ago, and I was way up back in the Starkey area, coyote hunting and cougar hunting in the wintertime. And
you were by yourself, right?
And I was by myself, and a herd of elk ran right across the road in front of me. So I just shut the rig off real quick, just pulled right up to him, shut the rig off, and then jumped out and closed the door. And at the same time as I was closing the door, I slipped and fell in the rut on the road. And so I actually slid under the vehicle, and it wasn't my coat. I wish it was my coat, Brent. It was actually my hand.
Ooh.
And the problem was, when I slipped under the vehicle, my elbow had hit the door lock button, and the keys were in my lap, because I just took them out of the ignition, dropped them in my lap. And so then I slid under the vehicle, and I kicked the keys under the vehicle. And now the vehicle is locked, my hand's stuck in the door, and I am under the vehicle with my hand caught in the door. And that was a challenge.
I can imagine. You could do the coyote and just chew your fingers off, I guess.
I thought I was going to have to. I honestly did. It was about 9 degrees that morning, which is a good morning to go out, predator hunting. And it was a little sketchy. I was finally able to kick off one of my boots and then kick it in the direction of the keys, and then drag it back with my other boot after I had tied my laces together with one hand, which was kind of tough. And I was able to get the keys. It took me about an hour, and I finally got out of there.
Holy
my goodness.
It's like that movie it was a true story where the rock fell on the guy's leg in the crevice, and he ended up having to cut his own leg off.
Yes.
Well, his own arm.
Or his arm, or whatever it was. Yeah, it was an arm. Yeah.
I was pretty scared. I thought I was going to have to do something.
Something drastic?
Yes.
Do you have a pocket knife?
Not in my pocket, no.
Yeah.
So how did you?
In the vehicle, I did.
So how did you get? And you couldn't get your hand out of the door.
No, the hand was stuck.
And so it wasn't until you got the keys, retrieved them, got them into the lock, and got the car door unlocked before you could even get your hand out.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was a little exciting adventure.
Too bad you didn't get it on film. That would have been awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
You could show that to your like grandkids. Like, look, I'm MacGyver. Like, I figured out a way to get those keys by tying my boots together.
Yeah, and I mean, it really goes to show you that you just really shouldn't be out alone, and I do it a lot, and so now I'm a lot more careful, and I try to tell people where I'm going, where I'm going to be, what time I'm going to be back, and check in, and but still, I shouldn't be going out on my own. I don't do a lot of the wilderness hikes and overnight stays like I used to.
You could get one of those satellite necklaces where you just tap it and it
I have
puts off a distress. Oh, you do?
I do. After that incident,
good idea.
those things came out, and I have the satellite text emergency device and a satellite phone because I always seem to get myself kind of in some sketchy situations when I'm out hunting.
Well, going back to our previous conversation about things that have frightened you, has there ever been a time maybe when you were out in the wilderness or something where like it made the hair stand up on the back of your neck, where it's like, okay, this is just makes me a little uneasy about something?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys remember that story years ago. John L. Ricker and I were out. John L. was a good friend of mine, an attorney here in town, and we took his son out turkey hunting, and I was down kind of over the ridge from John L. Talking to his son, and we were calling this turkey up, and out of the corner of my eye, I caught a cougar that was just starting to jump on John L. And luckily I had a shotgun, and so I swung the gun and luckily got the cougar in the air as it was jumping on John L.
Wow.
And that there was a news article about it, and it was pretty, that was crazy. And I was really fortunate enough to actually get the cougar because it was jumping on him.
That's crazy. And there was a kid with you, and the cougar went after the adult?
He went after the adult because the adult was the one calling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was.
Yep.
He
yeah. And so the
was he using a mouth call or electric?
Mouth call. Yep. And I've had bears come into camp and wolves come into camp at night, and just when you're out there doing that kind of stuff, and and when I'm by myself, a lot of the times, like I'm eating on the go, I'm eating, the quick instant, backpacking meals, and then you roll those up really tight and put them in an airtight bag. And a lot of the times animals don't even know that there's a human there. And so they'll come walking right up to your tent and smell it. And I had 5 wolves come into my camp 2 years ago in the Winnehaha wilderness.
No. Nope.
Yeah, that was a little scary.
Well, did they know you were there? I mean,
they did. They were being really curious, and they had a young little one with them. And when I say young, it wasn't. And when I say little, wolves are not little. Like these were huge, and
they're big dogs.
Came right up to my tent and was smelling it. In fact, that's what I woke up to, is hearing sniffing. And that's a scary sound when you're out in the middle of the wilderness.
So did you holler and spook them away, or did you just let it? What'd you do?
No, I unzipped the tent and just kind of watched them for a while. And but I had my guns with me. I had my rifle in my lap and my pistol in my hand, and I just kind of watched them. And it was really eerie. Just the I don't know, just the because I had a headlamp and I was just shining the lights and seeing 5 sets of eyes just staring at me, knowing at any moment that if they would have wanted to come after me, there was no way I could have got them all. And if they truly wanted to attack me, they could have had me. Even, I mean, I'm not a shooter like the Equalizer or any of those fancy movies.
Yeah.
I think we need to make a new rule for you.
What's
Every
that?
time you go out into the wilderness, you have to wear a GoPro on your chest.
Okay. Okay.
And then I mean, you could probably make a fortune. You could make YouTube videos like Dances with Wolves.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
People like that kind of stuff, man.
Yep.
You post something like that, you probably get 1 million hits.
That's
Well,
true.
that
true.
would be scary.
We're
And so
out-
it was still dark when it wasn't quite daylight then when you
Right. It was
Yeah.
about 2:00 in the morning, and needless to say, I stayed awake the rest of the night.
I can't imagine why.
There was no sleeping for me. In fact,
Yeah.
I just went out and built my fire and made it really big, and just kind of put my back to the tent, and they were gone, but I don't know. I was nervous.
I've only
yeah.
had one. Oh, go ahead, BC.
No, I was just going to say that's always the scary thing about tent camping. And I've done, I mean, when you're out in the wilderness, that's what you do. You just sleep in a tent. But
Some people sleep in
you
a
can
tent.
you can find yourself. You can't see out, and every buddy and everything can certainly see you.
That's
it's the same
true.
thing with a campfire,
That's true.
But yeah. What were you
I
gonna say,
had
Kyle?
one scary encounter with an animal. I think I was 19. No, I was 20 because I was already back from California. So I was like 20. No, I was 21 because we were going to the casino. We were driving over 84, and we see this little like furry thing like run across the road, and it hit the the concrete divider and jumped over, and this Dodge Ram just plowed it.
Oh
Bam!
my God.
And we were like, oh no. So we pull off to the side of the road, and we hear this like screaming, like this noise I had never heard before. And we get across to the concrete median. The guy didn't stop. He kept driving, and it was a bear cub, and its back end was like completely obliviated. But it was like making this noise. It almost sounded like a person. It was really scary. And then you see a big bear up in the trees, and we were just like, to the car, that fast, to the car. I mean, there was nothing, you know what I mean? It was scary. Woo.
Yeah, I can't get over how many times, and you see it on videos, and when you go to Yellowstone and that kind of stuff, and you see people approaching yearling animals.
No.
That is just something you do not do. It's like approaching a baby in a shopping mall. Mom is going to come at you, and she's going to come at you in full force. And people do it all the time. They go to Yellowstone, they're taking pictures, and then next thing you know, they're on a video of a buffalo flipping them upside down.
Yeah. I remember that real clearly. My uncle used to run trap lines on Pumpkin Ridge because he had sheep. He was a shepherd. And there was a young coyote in the trap one time, and he was like, even though it's a coyote, you need to pay attention right now because there's parents somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And that thought alone, I was young too. I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. Oh yes.
What's amazing to me is as many times have you seen those crazy videos, people apparently who go to the parks haven't seen them or they don't care, and so it's like, I mean, you see the videos all the time of people getting mushed or mauled or flipped or whatever the case might be, but every summer you hear those incidences where somebody's out of the car and, oh, look at that baby something. Yeah, it's just craziness to me. Or they do a selfie. They turn their back to the animal.
Oh, yeah.
I like the ones where they're like, oh, look at that pretty little moose. And then the moose flips their car over.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. Pretty little moose.
Moose are not animals to mess with, especially a female moose, which is a cow moose, if she has her calf. You just stay in your vehicle.
They're what, 2,500 pounds? How big are they?
Guess.
They gotta be. They're
never
humongous.
hunted moose.
You've not hunted moose?
No, I have not.
But you've hunted like everything else. What's your favorite thing to hunt? Because I know you do, hunting is a serious thing for you.
Bighorn sheep has been my favorite.
And you recently got a really nice one in Mexico, right? I'm
Yes.
trying to remember.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We were able to buy a hunt at a very, very discounted rate at an auction because this particular outfitter had a bunch of cancellations due to COVID, and they had already bought the tags. And so basically myself and a friend were able to go down there and hunt almost just for the cost of the tags. And so it was an amazing experience. We had a great time.
Nice.
What is
So should we talk about the upcoming stuff for you, Kevin? Like for the what's it called? The ride thing?
Our Safe Ride program.
Safe Ride program.
Actually, I'm glad you brought this up because we've got the 2 upcoming rodeos, and June 7th through the 13th is the Eastern Oregon Livestock Show, and July 8th through the 10th is the Elgin Stampede. And so we're cresting our 20th year of the Safe Ride program, and between rodeos and weddings and New Year's and Halloween and 4th of July and all the events and the different banquets that we do, this year will be over the 100,000 mark, that we've given over 100,000 rides. And in our 20th year, that's pretty exciting to reach both of those numbers. We're really proud of the program, and the program started because, and I know a lot of people know the story, but my absolute best friend was killed in a drunk driving car crash years ago in Montana. And we were both funeral directors together. I lived in Spokane. He was in Montana. We purposely moved that close together and got jobs so we could hang out. And then one night he was driving with his girlfriend home from the river, and he had had too much to drink, and the car left the road, and she spent a long time trying to get out of the car, but she got out of the car, went to a farmer's house, and then ever since then that's just kind of the reason why we started the program. His parents were like my parents. We talked every Thanksgiving, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and she would send as a joke every year this nasty fruitcake, and that we always joked about, and we would throw it around the house and use it as a hockey puck and things like that. But it's this program is incredibly important to us, and Jerry Hopkins has ran our program for 20 years. And I just cannot thank him enough, because when I tried to do it the very first year, and I have a tendency to talk a lot, probably the reason why I'm on this show. And we were not very efficient that year because I was wanting to talk to everybody, and there was all these people that were needing rides home. And so we decided that maybe we better not let Kevin drive anymore, and we'll leave it up to professional drivers. And this year we'll have 3 or 4 rigs that are running back and forth to Stock Show and the Elgin Stampede, and then we'll also be driving for the 4th of July. I know there's a lot of parties and things like that, so we just really want to encourage people to take the ride. And yes, you're going to end up having to leave a vehicle somewhere parked overnight, but just keep in mind that there's a lot of vehicles that are going to be left there and parked overnight. And we've all left our vehicles, and we've all taken the safe ride home.
Yeah. Where else does this program take place outside of Union County?
I've actually never heard of another business doing it the way we do it.
You've given 100,000 rides in 20 years. That's 5,000 rides a year.
Yes.
Holy mackerel! That's a lot.
We keep very busy, and I can tell you, the drivers are saints for what they have to put up with. You can imagine picking up a bunch of drunk people at the rodeos, and guys and girls and arguments, and I mean, people
in the car.
That was good. That was going to be my next question. Was like, okay, now there's some stories.
There would be stories, and there are stories. And we try not to share those stories, just to try to give people their privacy.
Right.
There's no assumption of privacy when you do it in front of people.
That's very true. Very true. Good point.
That's what I was always taught. You're not in private if people can hear you.
Yeah, but you know how that is when you're like in a heated argument or discussion, there's like this cone that comes around you, and it's like it doesn't matter if anyone can hear you or not. You know, like, yeah,
exactly.
You just get so intense. At least I do. I get so engulfed that So, and I'm sure that happens to lots of folks.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting riding in that vehicle sometimes.
So then how do you pay for the gas and all of that stuff, or do people donate for their rides?
No, and actually I'm glad you asked that, because it reminded me I definitely wanted to. So we pay for the gas, and we pay our drivers when they accept our money. A lot of our drivers actually just donate their time. And for years and years and years, Jerry Hopkins ran our program, and he just wouldn't take any money from me, because he just knew that there was a need to get people home safely. And so years went by, and then we just finally telling him, we are going to compensate for you. We do have tip jars in there if people want to tip the drivers, but between the drivers and what Jerry does, and then the three car dealerships have been an absolute godsend, from Goss Motors to Legacy Dodge to Legacy Ford. Those 3 car dealerships in this community have been amazing. And it's definitely the reason why I tell people all the time, if you're looking for a Dodge or a Chevy or a Ford, you definitely need to go down and talk to these guys. It's you can get just as good of a deal in LeGrand, Oregon, as you can out of town. But a lot of people think that they need to go to some of these larger dealers, and they've been amazing. We just got a Suburban for part of our fleet at the funeral home, and we have a Dodge, and our next rig will be a Ford. And it's nice to be able to kind of spread the wealth around, spread the love around, because they've been great to us as far as donating vehicles. So we'll pay for the fuel, we'll pay the drivers will get some tips, but the 3 car dealerships are the heroes giving us the vehicles to drive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You sometimes wish you had like one of those cars with a plastic back seat that you could just hose out.
Yeah. So our first few years we used funeral home vehicles, and I can tell you that there was times that we had a lot of cleanup to do after the rodeos. And those of you that are listening, you know who you are.
Yeah, right. I had to drive people 2 years ago. It was whoa.
Right.
I didn't realize how funny drunk people are until I stopped drinking.
Right. Oh yes.
Dude,
it's pretty interesting. There was that show Taxi Cab Confessions that was on HBO years ago, and it's like there was things going on in these vehicles, and we're like, okay, no pictures, no nothing. All we're gonna do is get people home safely and turn around and go back and get the next group. And they've tried to, people try to convince the drivers to, hey, go through the drive-through, and if we're busy, we just can't do that. But it's been pretty interesting.
Sounds like Johnny on New Year's.
Yeah.
Johnny had a couple New Year's ago. I hope he watches this too. And I tell everybody about this. I was driving New Year's Eve, and it was like, I don't know, it was late. Like the bars were closing. And he said, take me to Taco Bell. I said, okay. So we go to Taco Bell. He ordered $39 worth of food for himself at Taco Bell. I have the receipt still. $39 in food for himself at Taco
awesome.
Bell. That's a lot of tacos.
That is a lot of Taco Bell. That is a lot of. I had my days back in college, but I know it was never $39.
No. Back when we were in college, you could get like I lived just outside of Victorville, and they had a what's the place? Jack in the Box in Victorville.
Okay.
And back then you could get 99-cent jumbo jacks.
Oh, yes.
And there was a security guard. I lived in a gated community, and there was a security guard 24 hours a day. Well, he was my friend. He would take the magnets off the security card and run to Victorville and get us jumbo jacks at like 3 o'clock in the morning when we were all partying.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, so my worst days as a teenager, we got taco burritos one time and bought a whole bunch of them and then opened them up, and we would do drive-by tossing at people. That was
That's horrible.
yeah, it was. That was the worst action. And I don't know, I probably was 14 or 15 years old, and one of the guys I was with was the driver, and everything was going fine until his dad finds us in a parking lot, pulls up with the motorcycle, and it was like, yeah, you boys have been having quite a bit of fun. And he told his son, like, okay, you take the motorcycle home, I'll take these guys home. So it was like, that was the end of it. Drive-by tacoing. That was
Oh
it.
my gosh. Well, there's a lot of worse things out there.
Yeah.
There's a couple people in this town that have chased me when I was not drive-by not tacoing, but drive-by egging and toilet papering.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, one of the people that watches this show on a regular chased us one time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So how about you, Kevin? What was your teenage years? What was the height of your vandalism as a teenager?
I hate to admit this, but we used to go to pumpkin patches and steal pumpkins and then drive down the road really fast, standing in the back of pickups, which was very unsafe, and throw them at signs. And it was, and I'm totally ashamed of it because, I mean, obviously those signs are safety road signs. Yeah. And here we were throwing pumpkins at them. And it wasn't until I fell out of the pickup and my buddies had caught me by my feet, and I did go down and scrape the ground, and we decided we weren't going to do that anymore.
Wow.
But they caught me because we were doing about 60 going around the corner.
In my teen years, I fell out of the back of a pickup and nobody caught me.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. See that right there?
Yeah.
That's why that tooth is a different color.
Holy
They put
cow.
2 of them back in. They couldn't put this one back in. Joe
Wow.
McCraw. I was in the back of his pickup. I was 15. He was 16. We were supposed to be running down to Pioneer Park from the high school for baseball practice. I was cheating. I jumped on the side of the bed with my legs hanging out. Yep. And we're ripping down toward like going 35. And all of a sudden I see Burns's truck. And Burns was the coach at the time, Bill Burns. And I pushed up on my haunches like this, and the tire clipped the back of my foot, and I just went wham, bounced off the pavement 35 miles an hour.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
You're lucky that's the worst you got.
Yeah. And McCraw comes, he stops, and he's like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, I had a concussion and I broke a bone here, and I go, "I'm tough as nails." And he goes, "Here's your teeth back." And I was like, I started, oh no, my mom's gonna kill me. That's what I told you.
Oh, moms are scary when you really screw up.
Oh,
yeah. Oh yeah, especially when it comes to your safety.
Oh yeah,
and they can get mad.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
Yeah, and that's why when you have kids, you're real paranoid about all that stuff. Now, don't do that, because it's like, you know how stupid kids can be.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And back in the days when you messed up, like I mean, on a normal basis, like I was afraid, like I got beat up by a 9th grader when I was in 6th grade for shooting him with a BB gun. I deserved it. He beat me with my own skateboard. I was busted up. And I walked in the door and I told my mom that I wrecked on the skateboard, because if I would have told her what happened, she would have beat me too.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt.
So, did you get good at hitting the signs?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We had it down.
And would it damage them?
It would rip them right off their post.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. It was horrible. We should have never done it.
Yeah.
But
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Because technically the pumpkin was going as fast as what the car was.
Oh, yes.
And
Severe
then-
force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It
It's
was
like mailbox baseball.
right. Not one of my greater moments to be destructive.
Well, thank you for being vulnerable, sharing it with us.
Yeah, thanks for calling me out.
I'm gonna call you the pumpkin napper.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And where did you grow up again at? I can't remember.
It was down in the valley, unfortunately.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I graduated from Barlow High School. It's kind of out between Sandy and Gresham.
Okay.
Good wrestling school.
Yep, we all wrestled and were skiers and wrestlers and played a lot of the sports.
I know somebody that went to Barlow. Didn't Ben Petrick go to Barlow?
I don't know.
He made it to the big leagues. He was a catcher for Colorado, and they did a 30 for 30 on him because he got early onset dementia and Alzheimer's. He actually lives in a group home now.
Oh wow.
He's a year older than me, so he'd be 42.
Okay.
Yeah, he went. I'm pretty sure he was Player of the Year in '96 in Oregon, and I think he went to Barlow.
Okay.
Which might be a little bit after your time, right? What year did you graduate?
I graduated in '89.
Oh yeah, so yeah, it's a little after you.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably some signs with your name on them.
Probably.
Or they're going to watch this show and they're going to send you a bill. It's like
that might be it. That's probably coming.
I remember back in the days, if you had like a street sign in your house, you were all paranoid.
Oh yeah.
Kids nowadays, like I've interviewed like 4 or 5 different college kids, and their camera comes on and they got like a stop sign hanging behind them or a road sign. I'm like, bro, when I was a kid, you didn't tell people you had those.
Yeah.
Like, or when I was in college, you didn't tell people you had those things.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, for kids out there, that's really destructive.
Yeah,
So
don't do it.
Yeah, don't do that. Those signs are a couple of $100 each at the very least. Yeah, you know.
Next thing you know, like all the pumpkin patches are missing all their pumpkins
Oh, yeah.
and their stuff. We blame it on Loveland for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you can blame a lot on me. Ask Brent about, I know he was just talking about his 60th birthday. Ask Brent what happened to him on his 40th birthday.
Yeah. So on my 40th birthday was a big gathering, kind of like that. And they arranged, it was the first time I ever met Kevin. And he brought a casket to my funeral. So yeah, I brought a casket to my party. And so, yeah, so about midway through the party, he wheels a casket in and says, "Yeah, Mr. Clapp, we're here to measure you for your casket."
Oh,
So
wow.
It was, it was funny because my kids remembered that and they said, "Well, we thought about seeing if Kevin would bring a casket over." And he totally would. If he was in town, he would have in a heartbeat. But Tanya put the kibosh on that. It's like, no, that's morbid. We're not doing that.
Oh yeah.
Well, the beginning of your birthday party kind of felt like a funeral anyways. Like all the kids are telling their favorite memory. And I'm like, well, he's still here. Like, why are we talking about our favorite memories when he's still here? Like,
Yeah, it was. But you know what's kind of funny is that, and you know, don't get me wrong, this wasn't meant to be that way. But my dad passed. You know, he passed like in 2012, late in 2012, right. August of 2012. Okay, and he had cancer. He knew he was going downhill, and so this was in August when he passed. Well, in about June, he decided he was going to have a goodbye party. That's what we called it. And so, I mean, everybody came in, and I told my kids, it's like, hey, you know, come to this, fly in for this. Don't worry about coming to the funeral, because he decided, man, I want to see people while I'm still alive, not necessarily after I'm gone. And so, you know, it was a very cool event. It really was
awesome.
Yeah. And I kind of got that idea from a movie. You know, I had mentioned that to Dad, but I got the idea from a movie years ago that I saw where a person fakes their funeral, and then while everybody's there at the funeral, they come out, you know, and like, and they're all mortified because like, what do you do? Is like, well, I want you to come see me while I was alive, and I knew you wouldn't all come together if you knew it was unless you knew it was my funeral. So anyhow,
there's a really good YouTube video where at a guy's funeral, they have a recording that plays out of the casket, and it's him talking. He's dead though, and he's like addressing the people at the funeral, and it's comedy. I mean, he's making jokes, and it's actually kind of a good idea. I might think about doing that, but I don't know if I'll have a funeral. I think I'm just going to get cremated and dumped somewhere. I'm good with that.
Well, you still need to let people say goodbye.
My family has, I mean, for my grandfather, we did a funeral because he was in the military, but my grandmother, she didn't want a funeral, and so we just had a party. I mean, we really had a party. I mean, Grandpa cooked. We had beer on tap. We had all the cousins there, you know, and it was more of a celebration of her legacy than, you know, mourning, and people just kind of mourn, you know, like we mourned as a family unit outside of that, you know, and we just treated that like it was her, you know, it was her day, and we just celebrated her.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, the old traditional funerals that, you know, that we used to hold at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and we'd play Amazing Grace and In the Garden and read some scripture and a little bit of a eulogy and then head to the cemetery. Those days are gone. And I shouldn't say they're not completely gone. We still do. Some people still want the traditional funeral, but I mean, Brent's there all the time filming some of our celebration of lives. And I mean, we've had them up on top of Mount Emily. We've had them next to the river. I mean, we've had them in golf courses. I mean, on people's private property. And it's just been amazing watching how funerals and celebration of life have evolved. And with what Brent's doing for us now, there's always been a situation of the family trying to decide, when are we going to hold the funeral so everybody can be there? Well, they just can't. With people's schedules, everybody just can't be there. So we teamed up with Brent several years ago, and now Brent actually is videotaping these funerals for us and live streaming, and that has been amazing. We've had soldiers watching from overseas, and family members that couldn't get back because of canceled flights, and they call at the last minute and they say, we can't make it, and then we call Brent and he's there and he gets it recorded, and that has been amazing. But the traditional funerals, I mean, we tell people all the time, let's design a celebration of life around someone's lifestyle. And we've had a horse tied up to the front of the funeral home, and because the guy was a big rancher, and I mean, or we've done funerals on their ranches, and it's really cool being able to customize a funeral around someone's life instead of just doing what we've always done for years and years and years.
Right. That's a good thing. The progression's good, because to me, there's nothing worse than a traditional wedding or a traditional funeral.
I agree.
Oh, man. It's just, it's brutal on the people that have to be there. I remember my buddy got married. He got married in outside of Salem. There's this really nice place, and we were all in black, and it was like 101 degrees. And it was I was in the wedding, so I was in a tux. My kids were in the wedding, so they were all dressed, and it was a traditional wedding, and it was horrible. It really was. I mean, that's the only word I could use to describe it. I mean, it was a gorgeous place. It had nice dressing rooms, air conditioned, TVs, all the snacks and drinks you could think of. But then once you got outside into that heat, and we were in the sun, and it took like 2 hours, it was rough.
Well, and it was funny because I was joking I was at one of the services, Kevin, not too long ago, and was talking with a friend, and he's 10 years older than me. And he says, he said just exactly what you said, Kevin, or what you said, Kyle, was like, yeah, I'm not going to have one of these when I die. they're just going to put me on the ground. And I said, well, you really don't have a vote.
Right.
Yeah. You're going to be dead. You might, yeah, you can, yeah, you can give your opinion, but yeah, the services are not about you. They're about the people that are left behind,
Yeah.
That's just the truth of it.
One of the cool things that my grandfather did while he was still alive, my grandma passed first, and they're from they lived they're not from California, but military took them to California.
Sure.
When my grandmother died, my grandpa said, I'm buying a plot in LeGrand. They've never lived here or anything, but that's where both of his kids, my mom and her sister, and then most of the grandkids live in this area, and there's only one that doesn't. And my grandpa's just like, we're getting buried here. So if you go, like when we went up the hill yesterday to the top of the cemetery up there, that's where my grandparents are buried. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
And they weren't even from here.
No. And it's right at the top. It's the only bench up there. It's a concrete bench. It's got a yellow tree next to it.
Okay.
That's where my grandma and grandpa are buried, at the very top.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think Kevin, one of the services that you guys offer is if you, even for pets or humans, that if they want their ashes sprinkled somewhere, you'll figure out a trip and take your 4-wheeler up and find a beautiful place. And I mean, that's something you do fairly routinely, isn't it?
We do it several times a year.
Yeah.
We do pet cremations, and there's basically 2 different kinds of pet cremations that we do. One is called a private cremation, and the name kind of speaks for itself. The pet is placed in the crematory all by itself. The cremation is done, and then the cremains are swept out of the crematory, put through a kind of a processing machine that reduces the fragments down to smaller sizes, kind of like sand and pea gravel is about the size. And then those are returned to the family. And then a lesser expensive option is what's called a communal cremation. And that's if somebody can't afford to have their pet cremated by itself, then we will actually wait and cremate several pets at the same time. That's a lesser expensive option. And then we take those cremated remains several times a year, and then we go up into the mountains and we scatter them. And you're right. We pack a lunch and bring our 4-wheelers and just go out and enjoy nature. In fact, we'll be doing it here really soon. It's mushroom season. We might find some mushrooms.
I got a good cremation story for you.
You do?
My ex-wife, her grandparents, they both passed away within a few years of each other. So they both got cremated, and the ashes went to her mom. Well, her mom had blew some glass, like you blow the glass with some ashes in it for each one of them. And then she took the rest of the ashes and she put them in a big glass jar with a lid on it and mixed them together.
Okay.
Well, then her husband died later on, a couple years later, and she mixed those in there too. And that jar sat in my Suburban for over a year before we dumped those. It really did. I mean, it was like jammed up underneath the driver's seat for over a year. I had 3 people's ashes in my Suburban.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
They were with you every day.
Yep. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. If someone stole your car, they stole 3 bodies too.
Right. Yeah.
Cremation is actually really cool. Like some of the products we just met with this company that just has created this state-of-the-art process where we give the family what looks like river rocks back. And there'll be anywhere from 40 to 60 of these smaller size river rocks. And they are the cremated remains. And I know that some people will think that this is totally weird, but other people are taking those rocks and putting them out in their garden, or they're keeping a smaller one in their pocket, or keeping it in their vehicle. And
interesting.
It's really, really cool, this process that they've gone through, and it's all done using natural products. So it's not just the cremated remains with some unnatural epoxy poured over the top of them. It's all 100% natural how they've perfected this process, and they are really cool. And between those and then the necklaces that we have and keychains, and we can even take people's fingerprints, whether they're going to be buried or cremated. And then there's necklaces and pendants that can be made off of those. And it's just, cremation has really opened up a lot of people's eyes into memorializing. And as long as people still have the party or the celebration of life or a memorial service or something, then they still get the proper closure.
Yeah. And everybody's different too. But Mom, Dad, I'm not going to wear you anywhere on me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's kind of funny because, I mean, you and I, Kevin, have talked about grief a lot because, I was a pastor. This is what you do. We've watched a lot of people grieve through stuff, but I saw something the other day that was very interesting that I haven't seen. And I think you and I were together at that service, but somebody had been cremated. And when the urn is buried in the graveyard, or the cemetery it's a fairly small hole that they dig.
Yes.
But I mean, one of the things I saw the other day was a family and together, and they were placing the urn down in the hole.
Yes.
And they were all on their knees together, holding hands, praying. And it was just, I mean, that was a very, I don't know if you caught the glimpse of that, but that was a very cool, intimate moment. I mean, I was really amazed at that. It was, I don't know, I just thought it was very precious. So
it's amazing the type of ideas that the families come up with that we haven't even seen. And like something like that, they were basically acting as if they were the pallbearers for the urn, and then to lower the urn and then they had their hands on the urn and they all said a prayer as a family. And that was amazing. I did see that. And it's just unreal how people have come up with memorialization ideas, and that they will always remember that moment.
Absolutely.
That urn in the ground.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever buried anybody with? Like, what's the weirdest request to have? Like some people want to be buried with their dog's ashes, or some people want to be buried with a cigar.
Okay. So what most people do is, when most people want to be buried with all of their family's cash, I normally take that cash and put a check in their pocket, and I just keep the cash for safety.
Good move. Yeah. That's
okay. I want everyone to know that is a joke. Now cancel culture is going to happen, and we're never.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've buried somebody in a recliner on their own private property one time.
Wow.
And we bury a lot of people. Like if somebody chewed tobacco, they'll ask for us to put a little chew of tobacco in their lip. And if they really liked whiskey, you put a shot of whiskey in there. Religious people want to be buried with their Bibles.
Bible. Yeah.
I always encourage families to maybe not bury with the Bible,
right?
Because that is something that the family is going to want years down the road. So normally we try to use another Bible that doesn't mean that much to the family. But I mean, we've buried cowboy hats and boots and things like that, and we've buried like if somebody has passed away and then a couple of days later their pet passes away, we've buried pets with people. And a lot of the times we'll cremate that pet and then put their urn in their casket with them.
Ever bury a car? I know some people want to be buried in their car.
No, but I've looked into the request, and it is possible. You have to pull all the tanks and the hoses and everything. And
so you're not putting gas or oil in the ground.
I did look into it because somebody asked me 2 years ago.
That'd be a big hole.
It would be. It would.
Yeah.
Be.
Well, cool. Well, Kyle Dodsey, give us your quotes of the day.
I need to put my glasses back on.
All right.
In 1789, the first U.S. Congressional Act became law, and that was on administering oaths in the United States. 1796, on this day, last of Britain's troops withdraws from the U.S.
96.
That was in 1796, yep.
Wow.
In 1861, the first skirmish in the U.S. Civil War on this day happened at Fairfax Courthouse in Virginia.
Wow.
On this day in 1869, Thomas Edison was granted his first patent for the electric vote recorder, and it was U.S. patent number 90,646. That's a really low number. In 1888, California gets its very first seismograph. On this day in 1905, the Lewis and Clark Centennial Exposition opened in Portland, Oregon. On this day in 2020 was when Trump did the thing with the Bible at St. John's Church, on the George Floyd thing. The number one song in 1991 on this day was still "I Don't Want to Cry" by Mariah Carey. And here's a quick little tidbit of information. This year, there's a Galapagos tortoise that turns 189 years old, and it's the oldest known land animal alive today. And this thing was born 5 years prior to the coronation of Queen Victoria. This turtle was born in 1832. That's a long time ago.
What is it?
Still alive. It's a Galapagos tortoise. Yeah, Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I went with a funny athlete quote today, and it's from Jerry Rice, and he said, "I feel like I'm the best, but you're not going to get me to say that." Jerry Rice, the best to ever do it. I mean, that's awesome. Hands down, yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you. Thanks, Kevin, for jumping in with us today.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Eastern Oregon, for tuning in. We'll see you next Thursday.
Yep.
Take care, everyone.
This Thursday.
Thursday.
Bye-bye.